Next on Currents News, the statue of Mother Cabrini has found a home. The patron saint of immigrants will have the Statue of Liberty as a backdrop. A first for a pope, the Holy Father celebrates a Filipino tradition at the Vatican. And a selfless shopping spree. Cardinal Dolan is among the volunteers buying for those less fortunate this Christmas. Plus, he serves God and the NYPD, and today he celebrates a major milestone, making him one of a kind in uniform. The news starts right now. Good evening, I'm Christine Persichetti. There's an important development in the campaign to honor Mother Cabrini. We now know where a statue of the patroness of immigrants will be located. The memorial will be dedicated to the great New Yorker's role in building the Big Apple. Currents News' Tim Harfman has the story.
Lady Liberty is going to have a new neighbor. Manhattan's Battery Park City will be the home to Mother Cabrini's memorial after months of controversy.
It's a good thing that it's resolved, that finally, with the state's intervention, hopefully it will be something that does give to Mother Cabrini the honor she deserves.
Brooklyn's Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio has championed the cause to honor the patroness of immigrants, known for serving the needy, opening schools and orphanages.
The statue will be facing the Statue of Liberty in Ellis Island, connecting Mother Cabrini's mission of reaching out to the immigrants with the national story of immigration as symbolized in the Statue of Liberty.
John Heyer is on Governor Cuomo's Mother Cabrini Commission, co-chaired by Bishop DiMarzio and the Columbus Citizen Foundation's Angelo Vivolo. The statue will be erected on state land.
They will make sure the statue is taken care of in perpetuity, so that's a good part of it.
This was the most deserving woman, and we are delighted that the governor stepped in and had us be able to create this statue.
The commission was established in October. Now they're accepting proposals from artists. One idea, having Mother Cabrini stand with children.
Most of her work was with children, either in the orphanage or in the schools. She did other work too, but that would be appropriate.
The commission plans on having the new statue erected by next October. In Battery Park City, Tim Harfman, Currents News.
Catholics in the Diocese of Brooklyn are being encouraged to voluntarily pitch in to help rejuvenate Mother Cabrini Park in Brooklyn and set another memorial to the saint right there. Bishop DiMarzio and Governor Cuomo back the plan. Contributions are being accepted through the Catholic Foundation for Brooklyn and Queens at cfbq.org/Cabrini statue. There's still time left for you to go to confession. Today is Reconciliation Monday. Throughout the Diocese of Brooklyn and the Archdiocese of New York, parishes will be open for walk-in confessions ahead of the birth of Christ. Bishop DiMarzio and Cardinal Timothy Dolan are spearheading the effort. The theme this year is Prepare Your Heart for Christmas. Priests will be standing by in churches until 8 p.m. To find a parish near you, go to dioceseofbrooklyn.org/parishes/locator or archny.org/parish finder. The U.S. bishops are rallying around the Jewish community in the wake of the deadly Jersey City shootout. A pair of gunmen targeted a kosher market that was only feet from a yeshiva. 3 civilians were murdered. The violence is being called an act of terrorism and hate directed at Jewish people and police. The bishops are saying the Catholic Church has an irrevocable commitment to the Jewish community. It is our hope that through continued respectful collaboration and dialogue with our Jewish brothers and sisters, Catholics will help build a culture that completely rejects anti-Semitism. Cardinal Dolan is joining his brother bishops in condemning the hatred. He's saying that violence directed against anyone because of who they are is nauseating.
What is kind of even more sickening now is that ancient hatred of the Jewish people seems to be rising again. And this is awful. This is so irrational. This is so obnoxious. This is so toxic. This is so lethal. And it's just, I hate to say it, but it shows the power of sin. Sin, evil, hatred. It shows the power of darkness.
The cardinal added that the light of Christ conquers darkness. He spoke as volunteers worked to make Christmas better for others. That story is coming up in moments. In the Jersey City shootout, Detective Joseph Seals was the first victim to be killed. The hero cop was a married father of 5. His mass of Christian burial will be celebrated at St. Aidan's Catholic Church in Jersey City tomorrow at 10 a.m. Currents News will have full coverage of the service. Detective Seals was 39 years old. Still ahead in this newscast, Brooklyn pastor Monsignor Guy Massey and Rabbi Brad Hirschfield, the president of the National Jewish Center for Learning and Leadership, will be here. They'll talk about the Jersey City shootout as they tackle several worries that confront people of faith. They are moments away. For more than a decade, Catholic Charities of New York has called upon volunteers from across the city to help bring the real meaning of Christmas to those who need it most. Currents News' Jessica Easthope has the story from Manhattan.
The holiday shopping rush. People frantically browsing for sizes, dodging shopping carts, and waiting on lines that never seem to get any shorter. But one day a year, here at the Kmart on Astor Place, it's different. These people aren't shopping for themselves and their loved ones, they're shopping for strangers.
Just being able to help people that need the help and in a very tangible way, and these are, we're giving them or getting them things that they need.
Okay, so let's go do sweaters for the girls and the little baby.
Every year, the Keenan family weaves through racks with more than 300 other volunteers for Catholic Charities of New York's St. Nicholas Project. They sign up to shop for winter essentials for thousands of families in need, many of whom find themselves in homeless shelters during the Christmas season.
I need 2, a medium and a large.
Also among the shoppers, a familiar face to people in the Archdiocese.
Sarah needs a large. Chris Liddy needs an extra large.
Cardinal Timothy Dolan compared the situations these families find themselves in to Jesus' birth and his purpose in this world.
Jesus came, darkest time of the year, darkest time of the day, because he came to conquer the darkness. So there's a lot of darkness in the families of those people for whom we're going to shop.
These are the sheets volunteers are given when they walk into Kmart. On it is a budget, a list of family members with ages and sizes, but more so than that, these sheets tell a story.
To know the struggles that are right around us all the time, and to be able to know that in some small way, we're helping that family.
And sometimes the hardships these families face are unimaginable.
There are so many of our neighbors who just don't have enough money to provide the basic essentials.
At the end of the event, shoppers check out knowing they did a selfless good deed and made an impact on someone else's life. Now that is a wonderful deal. In Manhattan, Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
She's being called a lifelong trailblazer for human rights and gender equality. Today, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg receives the 2019 Berggruen Prize for Culture and Philosophy and the $1 million that comes with it. The 86-year-old says she will give the money to charity. This week is shaping up as a very busy time for lawmakers on Capitol Hill. The vote to impeach President Trump is coming up. So too are important bills to keep the government running and to make a new trade deal with Mexico and Canada the law. Nadia Romero has the rundown from Washington.
The New York Stock Exchange opens up for the first day since the U.S. and China agreed to a Phase 1 trade deal, as lawmakers plan to vote this week on the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement.
We are putting together historic, and I mean historic, trade with USMCA, Canada, Mexico.
Lawmakers are also busy focusing on multiple spending bills to keep the government funded. The House is expected to vote Tuesday in order to give the Senate time to pass it before the clock runs out after Friday.
I wanted to get this done when the Democrats brought another continuing resolution up. I wanted to get this done so they could get paid, our military men and women, and get their raise. I wanted to get this done so our nation could be stronger.
The Judiciary Committee will come to order.
And now the full House is expected to vote on articles of impeachment against President Trump sometime this week. With Democrats holding the majority, they're expected to have the votes to impeach the president. So now, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is looking ahead to the Senate trial.
I went to Mitch McConnell 2 weeks ago and I said, let's negotiate. Let's sit down and try to come up with a fair process.
But first, lawmakers have at least 3 votes that must happen by Friday, or it may impact their expected holiday break. In Washington, Nadia Romero, Currents News.
On the other side of the globe, there is new violence in Lebanon, where Pope Francis has appealed for peace. Lebanese military forces are cracking down on anti-government protests in Beirut overnight. The unrest is being sparked by one of the worst economic crises in decades. The Holy Father is praying to the Virgin Mary, Queen of Lebanon, for peaceful dialogue to find the right solutions for the country. Meantime, it's a first for the Vatican. The Pope celebrated a Filipino tradition in St. Peter's Basilica on Sunday, the Simbang Gabi Christmas Novena. The Holy Father invited Rome's Filipino community to celebrate Sunday Mass at the Vatican in honor of the first day of the traditional novena. And it's the first time that a Pope has celebrated the 9-day devotion that leads up to Christmas. The Pope thanked the Filipino community gathered in St. Peter's Basilica for bringing this devotion to Rome and many other countries.
La vostra fede sia lievito nelle comunità parrocchiali alla quale appartenete oggi. Vi incoraggio a moltiplicare le opportunità di incontro per condividere la vostra ricchezza culturale e spirituale, lasciandovi nello stesso tempo arricchire dalle esperienze altrui.
He invited them to prepare to celebrate Christmas in a society that often can no longer taste the beauty of God and experience the grace of His presence. Before finishing, these two girls of Filipino origin placed an offering in the image of the Virgin and all sang Mary, Queen of the Philippines. The Simbang Gabi dates back to the 17th century. Filipinos attend early morning masses on each of the 9 days before Christmas. Leave the vapes at home if you're visiting the Vatican. Vatican City is now applying its smoking ban to electronic cigarettes. Bishop Fernando Vergés says e-cigarettes should be considered the same as the tobacco products already banned. There's a lot more news headed your way. The future is here at St. Francis Prep in Queens. Students studying science now have an amazing new tool to learn from.
The longest-serving member of the New York City Police Department is a rabbi. I'm Emily Drubian. That's ahead.
And later, a remarkable replica. Why parishioners at one Midwest church made a 7-foot-tall Notre Dame cathedral out of gingerbread. As Christmas edges ever closer and the number of tourists to the Big Apple kicks up, the NYPD will have their hands full in the coming weeks. But one officer will take to the streets confidently because he's the longest serving among New York's finest and a strong man of faith. Currents News' Emily Druby reports from One Police Plaza.
Hi, I'm Rabbi Cass.
With a handshake and a smile, Rabbi Alvin Cass is doing what he does best, serving the NYPD and God.
In healing each other, I believe we're carrying out God's plan.
Helping to heal and protect those who keep New York City safe. The chaplain is the longest serving member of the department in uniform today, but it was a job he never expected to have.
I had never been in a police station in my life. I never knew any policemen.
Called to interview in 1966, set apart from the other applicants by the most unlikely of things. Bringing a gym bag filled with handball equipment to the interview, a move that ultimately made the chief of detectives pick him.
He thought that a rabbi who played handball would be the right fit for the NYPD.
And Rabbi Cass was the right fit. On December 16th, the now 3-star chief chaplain marked his 54th year on the force.
Speaker, I always enjoy hearing your words of inspiration.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Years Rabbi Cass spent helping New York's finest celebrate the good times and deal with the tragic times, like September 11th. Serving alongside the officers who risked it all, pushing through his own grief to care for them.
God gave people free will, and people abuse that free will and do some terrible things. But God gave us the ability to respond to these abuses through the strength of human love.
Proving no matter how difficult it is, Rabbi Cass gets the job done, a job he doesn't plan on giving up anytime soon.
I'm not retired.
You're not?
No.
54 years filled with tragedy, with happiness, with laughs, with tears, but most importantly, with faith. In Manhattan, Emily Druby, Currents News.
2019 has been a challenging year for people of faith. Incidents of hate and violence and political differences are just some of the headlines of the past year that's giving everyone pause. Rabbi Brad Hirschfield is the president of the National Jewish Center for Learning and Leadership, and Monsignor Guy Massey, pastor of Sacred Hearts and St. Stephen Church here in Brooklyn, are friends and fellow travelers. Welcome back.
Good to be here.
Thank you for being here. Rabbi, I'll start with you. Just last week in Jersey City was that tragic shooting. The civilians were killed in that supermarket, a police officer killed. How can our faith in God help us get through incidents like this?
Well, first of all, to believe in God is to believe that we are all part of a story that's larger than the moment we're in. The first thing people of faith should always be able to rely on, or frankly, they're practicing the wrong faith for them or not practicing it very well, is if you're defined by the moment, you're not a person of faith. That doesn't mean we don't have to fight the bad and reward the good in each and every moment.
Right.
But no one moment should ever define us if we are truly people of faith.
It's hard for people, though, because if they're sitting at home and watching the news and they're hearing about shootings at stores, shootings at schools, in terms of the problems facing society, Monsignor, what would you say gives you the most concern?
My concern is what you just said, is that people zero in on these very negative things that are happening, and then that becomes the defining issue for them for this particular time, and that kind of brings them down to almost a hopeless situation, where I think people of faith would say, yeah, this is not good, but it's not the definer. That there are probably many good things going on that we're not hearing.
Going along with that, then, you know, our faith tells us that God overcomes evil, and that's reassuring to everyone. But is there anything tangibly going on in the world right now that, you know, can help to give people hope?
I think God overcomes evil. I think God does this through us. So he does it through people. I think there's always a human mediation here. And I see many people doing many good things. I see there's challenges now to authoritarian governments that's going on throughout the world. I see that people are speaking out more about the violence issue that we have, that we need to do something about this. I hear in the United States that there are people who are against, they want gun control and things like this. So there are hopeful people here. There are people that more things going on than there are these violent issues.
Rabbi, your take on that?
Sure. The first thing is I want to absolutely double down. God may overcome evil, or does overcome evil, but it's through humans.
That's right.
And the one thing we can control, no matter what circumstance we are in, is how we respond to the moment. Which means if we fundamentally believe that we are good, don't worry about other people. If we fundamentally believe that we are good and that God has given goodness in each of us, draw on that goodness.
Yeah, I think that one of the things too is, you know, we speak about free will. How we use our free will has a great deal to do with the affect that we have in the world.
Right.
We can choose to be people of faith, or we could be people who are faithless. We can choose to be people of joy. By joy, I don't mean happiness. Joy is a gift of is a fruit of the Spirit. Or we could give into the negativity and go right down the drain with everything else. So it's a matter of, you know, make me an instrument of your peace. Well, choose that. And it affects the little worlds in which we all live in.
You mentioned hope. What is your greatest hope for the new year?
Oh, I think my greatest hope for the new year is some unity in the United States, a peaceful time, a restoration of some peace for the Catholic Church and what it is going through and what it continues to go through in these last few years, and a certain sense of a time in which we could all just get a grip.
Rabbi, your hope.
So amen to all of that. Because anyone who argues with that, I don't know why they're watching us, because that's pointless. But I want to make it as accessible as possible, and it is connected to something you said, Monsignor. The opposite for me of faith is not doubt. The opposite of faith is despair.
Yeah.
And so my hope is that people would put themselves into positions where they can fight against despair. And if they cannot find the partners they need for that, find them.
All right, I love it, and we'll leave it at that. Rabbi Brad Hirschfield, president of the National Jewish Center for Learning and Leadership, and Monsignor Guy Massey, pastor of Sacred Hearts and St. Stephen Church. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Students at St. Francis Prep in Queens will be going into the new year a lot smarter thanks to some brand new tech. An advanced anatomy lab featuring a virtual dissection table is now part of the high school's science department. The table will allow students in the anatomy and biology courses to see the interior of the human body and perform operations on more than 1,000 virtual cadavers. One student at the school says she's excited about the new tool.
I'm grateful personally because I hope to be part of the medical field. I can't wait to explore those options after high school, and I really think the table just gives me a head up over all of the other competition out there, all of the other high schools, everything like that.
The state-of-the-art lab was made possible through a grant from New York Presbyterian. There's a great way to support Catholic education. The Spirit of Christmas concert is tomorrow. The show will benefit the Futures in Education Scholarship Fund. The Irish tenors Anthony Carnes, Declan Kelly, and Ronan Tynan are the headliners. Futures ensures a Catholic education is an option for deserving students in Brooklyn and Queens. The concert will be at the Brooklyn Academy of Music tomorrow, starting at 8 p.m. To purchase tickets and get more information, call 718-965-7934 or go to futuresineducation.org/events/Spirit of Christmas. Still to come on Currents News, the story of a sweet masterpiece. Why parishioners at a church in Missouri built a replica of the Cathedral of Notre Dame made entirely out of gingerbread. Earlier this year, the world watched as flames heavily damaged Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. Today, a church in Missouri is paying tribute to the French monument in a unique way by building a huge replica made out of gingerbread. Emma James has the story.
450 pounds of ingredients, 50 batches of gingerbread, pretzels for railings, chocolate for gargoyles, chocolate Krispies for landscaping, and the stained glass windows.
We use Jolly Ranchers to make those.
This isn't Lisa Stifler's first gingerbread rodeo. She says Father Stephen Rogers asked her to build Weston's Holy Trinity Catholic Church in gingerbread 3 years ago. Last year, he asked her to kick it up a notch with the Vatican. And this year, he said it only seemed right to honor Notre Dame. Stifler knew it wouldn't be an easy task.
How in the world do you get pieces like that to just stand free?
She and another church member started with a 1-foot 3D puzzle of the cathedral. She multiplied those measurements by 8 and created the design out of cardboard first.
Use that cardboard as patterns to bake it?
450 pieces of gingerbread and a whole lot of decorating later, the masterpiece is 8 feet long, 4 feet wide, and 7 feet tall at its highest point. From the doorknobs to the flying buttresses, there's no shortage of detail.
And those are made out of white chocolate.
It even has more than 500 LED lights. Stifler, her husband, and another church member have been working nonstop for the last month or so. Seeing the final product makes it all worth it.
It's just a feel-good project. I mean, I think so many people are going to get joy out of it. And honestly, while we were making it, you get just a sense of accomplishment.
The sweet masterpiece will be on display this weekend for the church's European dinner.
That was Emma James reporting. The delectable creation will be on display at Holy Trinity Church in Weston, Missouri until January 6th, the Feast of the Three Kings. That is Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thanks for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.